Hello, my name is Yunus Anginer. Today, we stand before the Clarke House, one of the most significant and symbolic structures on the Princeton battlefield. In January 1776, at this very spot, an event unfolded that would alter the destiny of the American Revolution. This site, which appears so calm and so peaceful today, was once filled with the roar of cannons, the crack of muskets, and the cries of the wounded soldiers, not only American, but also British soldiers. The Battle of Princeton took place on January 3rd, 1777, and is regarded by the historians as one of the most critical turning points of the American Revolution. This battle marked the final link in a chain of events, beginning with George Washington's crossing of the Delaware River, known as the 10 Crucial Days. By late 1776, the American army was in the throes of a major crisis. Dissertations were on the rise, morale was plummeting rapidly, and many believed that the independence movement was doomed to fail. The British, for their part, were convinced that the colony's resistance had finally been broken. Yet, George Washington chose not to retreat, but to take a risk. On the night of January 2nd, Washington executed a masterful deception plan. American troops kept their campfires burning and maintained a level of activity suggesting that they were still encamped around the Trenton area, thereby fixing the British Army's attention on this region. Meanwhile, under the cover of darkness, Washington quietly marched approximately 5,000 of his soldiers around the British lines and advanced toward Princeton. Given the freezing weather and the treacherous roads and the wary soldiers, this was an extraordinary risky undertaking. However, Washington's objective was not merely to achieve a minor military victory. He sought to prevent the complete collapse of the American Revolution. And the Clarke House stood right at the very center of the historic events. This house was built in 1772 by the Quaker Clarke family. However, during the Battle of Princeton, it ceased to be a mere farmhouse and was transformed into a makeshift field hospital. Wounded American and British soldiers were carried inside the structure. Today, the Clarke House is recognized as the only original structure from the Battle of Princeton that still stands. As we stand here today, we are looking not merely at a military narrative, but also at the human side of war. For on the battlefield, it is not only strategies that are altered, but human lives as well. American General Hugh Mercer was one of the individuals treated in the structure. Mercer was gravely wounded during the battle. He had been bayoneted by British soldiers and he was severely beaten. Despite the best efforts of Dr. Benjamin Rush, Mercer succumbed to his injuries a few days later. Today, Mercer County in New Jersey bears his name. The story of the Clarke House is not limited solely to soldiers. The Clarke family who raised here were adherents of the Quaker faith. Furthermore, historical records indicate that a black enslaved woman named Susanna also lived in this house. This detail serves as a reminder that the American Revolution was not merely a discourse on liberty, but an event that unfolded within a society rife with profound contradictions. During the war, this structure served as a field hospital, not only for American soldiers, but for British soldiers as well. This fact underscores that the Battle of Princeton was not merely a military struggle, but a dramatic event that directly impacted human lives. Today, the Clarke House serves as a historical interpretation site open to visitors. This structure, now nearly 250 years old, has suffered significant deterioration over time, making preservation efforts one of the primary priorities for the Princeton Battlefield Society. For this building is not merely an old house. It is one of the living fragments of the physical memory of the American Revolution. And perhaps the most significant aspect of this battle of Princeton is this. Following this victory, the morale of the American army soared once again. The notion that the British were invincible was severely shaken. Some historians view Saratoga as the turning point of the war. However, many scholars argue that without Princeton, there would have been no Saratoga. Constructed in 1772, the structure found itself at the very center of the conflict in 1777. And to this day, it continues to serve as a physical respiratory of the American Revolution's memory. As we stand before the Clarke House today, we're not merely gazing into the past. We're also striving to understand how modern America came to be shaped today. For sometimes the course of history shifts in places that appear precisely like this one, so quiet.